All right, this is David Pryor. We are on the VFI webinar for MSSA. We're going to give a few minutes others to join. Make sure we have everybody on the call. I wanted to first thank everyone for joining this call. I see lots of good friends out there that are chiming in on the chat box. And by the way, the chat box is how we will ask questions. We have a very tight presentation today. So what we would like to do is, uh, John, Nicolo, and Regina and others, if you have questions, type something in. We will try to get that up and queue it up at the end of the call. And so we can go from there. Let me just notify everyone on the call. This will be recorded. So just know that going in. We'll post this on our website, VFI website, and have that content available to share with others as appropriate. So let me do this. Let me kill another minute of time or two. In fact, I see a lot of familiar names on the call. I know there's some folks that are joining that are not familiar with Voices for Innovation. And for those not familiar, Voices for Innovation, it empowers our Microsoft community and other tech advocates to be third-party voices on the Hill and state capitals, on letters to regulatory agencies. It's something that's been around for about 15 years, and we thank you for joining this call today. This is a series of webinars that we do to educate our community and work with our colleagues at Microsoft and other places to bring you what I'll call content that we hope will benefit your practice as a Microsoft partner, as a tech advocate. And what we are doing today is we're going to talk about the Microsoft Software and Systems Academy. I am not going to steal the thunder from Major General Chris Cortez, who will go into that in just a few moments. But I will say this is about hiring veterans. We all know that the pipeline of IT professionals is something that needs to be more robust. And through Chris's good work and the work of the team in Redmond and other places around the U.S. and at Microsoft, and certainly through our partner network, we are trying to fill that pipeline. And our call to action today is urging those on the call to consider hiring a veteran, an MSSA grad. You'll learn what an MSSA grad is in just one moment. So on that note, what I would like to do, I've talked just a moment about Voices for Innovation. I want to thank all of those that have been with Voices for Innovation and have been signing our letters on the Small Business Letter to the FCC, the Cyber Tech Accord, the Paris Call, privacy legislation in Washington State. We are very active in many issues that affect the tech community, and we appreciate your efforts very much. A lot of folks on the call. I see our good friend Frank Valdivieso from Washington, D.C. has joined. He's one of our top advocates. I could go down the list of the folks that are on this call. I would like to do a quick shout out, if I could, to some of the others that are joining the call today that are actually very active in hiring veterans. The Chamber of Commerce has a program called Hiring Our Heroes. I know one of the Chamber folks is on the call today. They use the MSSA hiring tool. They're not going to speak today, but believe me, we have great partners out there. And another one that will actually be featured on the call is Tech Systems. Mike Powers is on the call today. He will talk about how he uses the MSSA tool. Tech Systems is one of the largest IT placement companies in the U.S. Mike was telling me they hire over 30,000 IT professionals a year. I'll let Mike get into that a little later. But what I would like to do is also recognize Robert Half and Associates, a huge hiring firm. They've been very helpful for this webinar. They are deeply immersed in the IT industry. I want to thank Robert Half Associates for all you're doing. And I'd like to jump into the introduction of Major General Chris Cortez, who he is retired. We all know that Marines never actually retire, but Major General Chris Cortez is someone that is a fascinating and a wonderful person that we are honored to have at Microsoft. Chris's responsibilities touch STEM education, veteran community engagement, high-tech training, and employment of veterans. His mission is to lead and challenge the technology industry to fill the IT pipeline with former service members. Chris has been with Microsoft since 2006. He served for more than 33 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. He retired in 2004 as a Major General, and he had been leading the Marine Corps Recruiting Command at Quantico, recruiting more than 75,000 men and women. Chris, I just want to stop and thank you for your service, not only to Microsoft, but to this country. Thank you very much. And I want to, I would just really like to turn it over to Major General Cortez, if I could.
Well, thank you, David, for that kind introduction. Thank you for putting together this webinar. And it's great to virtually meet everyone that's on the webinar. Today, I hope you walk away with an understanding of why it's so critical for companies to hire veterans. My colleague, Dan Shoemate, later on will share with you why and how being a hiring partner is important to fill the growing need for skilled careers and cybersecurity professionals across both private and public sectors. Many of us have heard about the technology skills gap. Computer and information technology occupations are on pace to grow 13% between now and 2026. Code.org estimates nearly 500,000 unfilled jobs in the IT industry in America today. That's faster than the average for all other occupations, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. This trend is projected to add more than 500,000 new jobs, especially in such areas as cloud computing, the collection and storage of big data, and information security. But the availability of technology jobs is greatly outpacing the supply of talent. And you know who has the skills uniquely fitted for technology careers? It's veterans. Our veterans have the experience and skill sets that are uniquely applicable to the technology industry. And at Microsoft, we support them in learning how to apply their talents to tech. Because if we think about it, our industries and what we demand, it's clear we have an important opportunity in front of us. In 2006, a small group of veterans at Microsoft started asking questions about how much opportunity existed for veterans leaving active duty. We knew that about 200,000 service members transition out of the military and seek civilian jobs. We also knew the tech talent gap was growing. My team and I had a vision to bring veterans into the technology industry, not only because of the core attributes they possess, but also because many are already technical leaders or have the aptitude to be. We began to ask ourselves, what can we do better to successfully transition these men and women into IT careers at Microsoft or other companies in the industry? What we learned over the ensuing years is that in the high-tech industry alone, if you gain a STEM degree, computer science, computer engineering, math, physics, you become a highly competitive candidate at some of the most cutting-edge companies in the nation. We also learned that every veteran's career path is unique. A 2-year degree is right for some. Programs that get them into the workforce more quickly are right for others, like, for example, certification programs in trucking, manufacturing, and building, and hiring programs for customer service, sales, and operations. When we started exploring how Microsoft could better integrate transitioning veterans into the IT field, we were surprised to learn there were very few opportunities for veterans to acquire these in-demand IT skills as part of the transition process. Without that support, long-term, high-earning careers are harder to come by. But that's a problem we, the private sector, can help solve by deliberately creating opportunities to reskill and recruit outside of a traditional 4-year degree. From our experience, technology careers are incredibly valuable, and reskilling veterans for technology careers sets them up for long-term success. As veterans ourselves, we've built that understanding into a flagship program for our company called the Microsoft Software and Systems Academy, or MSSA for short. When we recruit and train veteran talent, we support the men and women who have bravely served our country. We also bolster our companies and industries with incredible, innovative, and dedicated employees. I encourage everyone on this call to recruit and retain veteran talent into your organization. And if you're interested in learning more about how to hire MSSA graduates, feel free to reach out to our team on military.microsoft.com. To bring veteran talent into the technology industry, we must do 2 things. First, we need to shift the industry's perception of the typical IT worker. And secondly, we need to help veterans shift their own perception and build their confidence that their military skills translate into civilian sector skills. That's why we want to inspire the veteran community to transform their lives through meaningful opportunities in technology. We can't do this work alone. We need partners, and that's where we all of you come in. I'm going to pass this over to Dan to speak about our hiring partner program, which gives companies like the ones you all work for access to talent coming out of MSSA. We're proud of this program and the impact it's had not only on the lives of these veterans, but also on the industry as a whole. Last summer, we reached an important milestone of over 500 companies who have hired MSSA graduates. So I'll pass it over to Dan now, who can speak a bit more about how you get involved and the benefits of becoming one of our partners. Dan, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. And I just wanted to point out, as we look at this slide and the numbers, we have over 500 hiring partners, companies who have hired from Microsoft Software Systems Academy and continue to work with us, whether they're a small shop and they need a help desk person once a year, all the way up to major airlines that we've worked with that, they want to get engaged with all of our classes. And so we really have a wide range of partnerships, and that really lends to these numbers. And this is our primary driver behind the program. We have a high level of graduation. We have a high level of employment within 60 days of program completion. And most of them are going into the tech field. So working with these companies closely has allowed us to build up, these numbers and have this national average of over $75,000 for our graduates. I'm going to move over to the next slide, but this call has slowed down my computer somehow. So taking a look at the roles that we see people go into, these are the most common titles that we see our graduates moving into directly out of the program. And it's also important to keep in mind that the participants coming into our program have a range of backgrounds coming out of the military, whether they were an IT person in the military, or whether they were infantry or artillery or truck drivers. It really is a range. And so it's great that we have this program that can address a ramp up from no IT background and help them get into the IT field. And that's reflected in the types of roles we see here, ranging from help desk up to engineer level roles. And that really is reflected in the national average salary that we have coming out of the program as well. So our hiring partner program is completely built around being able to communicate with the companies that we work with. And across our 14 different locations, we have 3 different learning paths that they follow. This is a high level overview. But when we work with companies that have a specific need in, let's say, cyber, we're always able to point them in the right direction to not only align them with the learning path with the most direct experience, but also with our graduates who have experience in the field. So it really is a combined approach that we have. And we have a hiring tool that we use and grant access to for these companies we work with that allows them to go through and filter and search based on profiles that every one of our participants creates. So just to get an idea of the volume for this year, we have 35 cohorts scheduled, and you can see all of these cohorts with the May finish time, they're all in seat right now. We have over 350 students in class at the moment. So taking a look at resume release, this is the point 5 to 6 weeks from graduation where they're going to start looking for work actively. And at that point, their profiles will all populate in the hiring portal, which I'll demo shortly. And you'll be able to go through and search, but we can also set you up to engage with these classes. So if you see a location that is nearby your offices and you have a team there, or even if you have teams that travel, we can set them up to go in the class and engage with our cohorts directly. We can set up Teams calls like this with multiple classes at one time, or with one class that you might be particularly interested in. And we can do that by learning path, or we can do that by location. It really is, however we can work well with companies, we're definitely always looking to make it as easy as possible. I'm going to jump from here over to the hiring portal that we have. So this is the hiring tool that we are kind of alluding to throughout the call. And in here, we have a job board that is attached. So we've actually built it up, and our students can go through and search jobs that companies have posted. And I can't demo this because you'll be able to see other companies' postings, but I will be able to demo the search resume portions of the platform. I'm going to switch over to that now. And what this will do is it allows you to search by security clearance, regional, location preference. There's a keyword search in here as well. And so it really allows you to kind of dig into specific people that meet certain criteria without having to filter through absolutely all the profiles, being that we have hundreds of people in class at one time. And so we've added some things in here like the count. There's 77 profiles in here now. Camp Pendleton, for example, hit the resume release point last Friday. So there's 27 students in that class currently looking for work. They're all going to be in here. And we also had hundreds of students graduate at the end of last year. So you'll see a few remainders in here that might have had delayed start dates and things like that. So this really allows you to kind of narrow it down and reach out to people directly. And you'll also notice you can save as PDF, and you can download the whole batch after you run your filters as well. So again, it's about making it easy for you to get through the profiles and reach out to people directly. We do have PII inside of these, so I'm not going to open them up to show you what it looks like inside of a profile, unfortunately, but right at the top of every profile is going to be all of their direct outreach information. So you'll have a LinkedIn profile, you'll have their email address and phone number, and you can do the direct outreach once you're in here and once we've talked with you and discussed the program with you and figure out where we align best. Your teams can get in here and reach out directly to our graduates. And it also is important to note, we don't charge the students and we don't charge the hiring partners to make a hire out of our program. So, we're really doing this based around the numbers that you saw before and just driven by helping our vets make a successful transition out of the military and into the IT industry. And help fill the IT skills gap and help work with the companies that, have the variety of roles, again, whether it's a small shop or a large company. And that's kind of the overview of our hiring partner program. I wanted to hand it over to Mike Powers with Tech Systems. David, I don't know if you wanted to make that introduction first, but you can go ahead and take it from there.
You know what, Mike, if you and I have talked a couple of times, Dan and Mike know each other well. Mike, please just introduce yourself and tell them about Tech Systems and about your experience with MSSA.
Sure, absolutely. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. So yeah, thanks for the introduction. I know you're all wondering who I am, so I'll be quick on that and get to what's important here is how this has worked for us. But my name is Mike Powers. I've been at Tech Systems 21 years. I got an IT degree out of the University of Kentucky and became a recruiter, an IT recruiter at Tech Systems. And I've been here 21 years and did sales and then moved into the Veterans Program role that I'm in now. I'm a retired Black Hawk pilot as well, so that's how I ended up in this world. And we have 110 locations in the U.S. We're very similar to Robert Half. We also have locations globally in Asia, Europe, Canada, and a lot of places. So we hire a lot of people in IT. We hire just at about 30,000 a year, like David said, and we've got about 80,000 IT people deployed at a given time. So what I'm about to tell you is based off of a lot of data and a lot of knowledge and a lot of interactions with clients. So we've done well with this program. Tech Systems provides IT services to companies of all kinds, pretty much anybody that will let us do business with them. So we cover healthcare, we cover government, we cover automotive, industrial, finance, all the verticals. And so we've been placing IT people in all these verticals for years. And we are always looking for more sourcing avenues. And in particular, we hire a lot of people with clearances. So I came across the Microsoft Academy at Fort Campbell, Kentucky a few years back, went down and met with the Academy, met some of the great veterans that were in that classroom and spoke to them a little bit about career path and was really just there to advise them on monies, how to get from one career path to another after, a revocation program such as this. And what enveloped over the years turned into, we have hired several hundred MSSA graduates. I looked the number up a few months ago when speaking with Dan about another meeting that we had, and it turned out that out of the several hundred that we've had great success. So you're probably sitting there wondering, how am I going to know if these are the right hires for me? I know they're going through this academy, but I can tell you that there's a big difference. First of all, I talk with a lot of programs. That's my job. I go out to different programs like Wounded Warrior Projects Training Academy, Tech Qual, and many. And what I'll say about the Microsoft Academy is these graduates are a step above what I usually come across. When they end up graduating, what they come to the clients with and come to us with is actual working knowledge as opposed to theoretical knowledge. Many of them are ready to get in and start the work as opposed to being a journeyman or understudy of the work. Most of these individuals are very proactive. They are very driven. Clearly, the fact that they're seeking a revocation before they even exit service shows the aggressiveness and the self-starting disposition that they all have. So the women and men that we've hired out of those several hundred, 75% of the contract hires that we have, which were basically hired to work for us somewhere between 6 months and 2 years to install IT equipment, 75% were hired on or retained by the client after that work. And looking into the numbers 2 years later or longer, they are still there with that client. So the retention level is extremely high. I think that speaks to not just the skill set, but the character of this program. And another thing that we've come across and what we do as a company, so we get feedback on our workers monthly. Every single person that works for us, we talk to the managers on site and the clients at the companies about how they're doing, how can we help them, and what can we do to keep this, going well. And the most constant feedback was, I never have to give them more to do. They're always assertive. When they're done with what they need, they help others. And then one thing that stood out that I never thought about was their ability to work in diverse environments is exceptional. They work with people of different age, background, location, origin, or different workforce background. And every time they know how to create synergy and how to garner and get people to work with them and vice versa. So I never thought about that in full, but I guess working in the military, you know, you do work with people of all backgrounds coming from many different countries, many different ages. So that has shown up as well. So we've had a great success in hiring these IT graduates. They have done the work well, but not only that, they have shown up well in the clients. And they are one of our most successful sourcing avenues as far as retention goes. And, you know, this is based on not one or two clients. This is based on several hundred placements with over 135 clients, it looks like. So the feedback's been phenomenal for us. And the ease of using this tool that Dan's showing you is a big part of that too. We have a team of 30 recruiters that focus on specific areas that use this. And the ability to get in and connect with them, the seamlessness of it, the fact that the application is always working, and the people that are in here are relevant and they are updated. You know, if any of you on this call have worked with some databases to find veterans, you've probably found profiles that were old or outdated or they were no longer looking. That is not the case with this tool either. So I know we hear it a lot. The general was just speaking about, you know, the type of people and the character, but I want to say at a granular level that we have all this in our database, all the feedback, and I would be glad to speak to anybody on this call afterwards about our experience in tech systems and, you know, give you a longer reference if you want. But if you're looking for people that are ready to go, that are self-starters, that self-educate, that find their own way, that find solutions, and are able to come in and work in any kind of environment because of the diverse background they came from, it'd be hard-pressed to find something better than the MSSA Academy and this tool. So that is it. I will stay on, answer any questions, but I can't say enough about it. Anything I didn't cover, David, that y'all want to talk about?
Mike, listen, that was fantastic. I love hearing that story. I've been communicating with a few of the folks on the chat box, and what I frankly would do if first of all, Mike, thank you very much for everything you do for Microsoft for this program and as a partner. I wanted to actually, if I could pick on Major General Cortez, I thought perhaps maybe you could share one of your favorite stories about hiring one of these heroes through this process, General. I just thought it would illuminate kind of what you are doing at Microsoft and help the partners understand why you're doing it.
Well, thanks, David. First, let me thank Mike for that overview. That really spoke to ground truth. I mean, it's an amazing program, and I want to pick one area. Mike talked about, you know, the high retention rate. That's really important. I mean, we all struggle with retention. IVMF, Institute for Veterans and Military Families out of Syracuse University, a few years ago did a study of about 1,400 veterans. And in that study, there were a number of things that came out. Some of the reasons for veterans leaving the companies that they were working for. But the one thing that I'll point to is that they found that in this study, over 2/3 of the veterans they surveyed left their first job within the first 24 months. At Microsoft, the graduates of MSSA who we hire, of those, over 80% are still with us after the first 24 months. So that's almost polar opposites. And you ask, well, how can that be? Now, I don't know what the percentages are in Mike's organization, but for us, we think that a big reason for that is the amount of sweat equity we put into this program through mentors. We have mentors who are full-time employees, many of whom never served in the military, but they volunteer their time as mentors because they believe in this program. They want to give something to our military veterans. And so our mentors work with members of each cohort once a week. They'll dial in for about an hour, or sometimes they'll show up in the classroom, and the full hour is devoted to whatever the members of the cohort want to talk about. Hey, what's it like to work in the IT industry? What keeps you awake at night? What's it like to work at Microsoft, and so on and so forth. And this builds a rapport for the 18 weeks that they're in the program. And then we also, for those that we hire directly into Microsoft, we put a full-time employee mentor together with that newly hired employee for their first 12 months to help them get through everything that a new employee goes through, the fire hose effect, pay, allowances, benefits. It's the mentorship program, we believe, goes a long way towards that 80% retention rate after 24 months. Now, a picture's worth 1,000 words. We have a number of videos that we put together of our graduates, and I'm going to ask Dan to somehow get it over to you, David, so you can let's just pick 2 or 3 of these videos where you hear these are non-scripted. These are our employees that went through this program working for Microsoft and what their life is like today. It's really amazing, the transformation. So one story, David, for you. One story, Andrew Richardson graduated from one of our earlier cohorts out of Camp Pendleton in California. He was a young corporal. He'd served about 4 or 5 years. He'd been to Afghanistan, 3 deployments. He was tending bar at a city not too far from Redmond, Washington, and in walked, at that time, he was my number 2 guy in this program, a Naval Academy graduate, and his wife had met this person. Hey, who are you? What do you do? I was in the Navy. This is what I did in submarines. Oh yeah, well, I was a Marine in Camp Pendleton. Hey, have you ever heard of this MSSA program? And the young corporal immediately, in his own words, said, hey, I knew that this was going to change my life. He called, got on a waiting list, got, made the class, quit his job, went to the next class, went through the program, 18 weeks at Camp Pendleton. Today, he's at Microsoft. He's been promoted several times in just a couple of years, and he's just knocking it out of the park. When he talks to you, it's clear his life has changed. He has found his place. His life is meaningful. At an event about a year ago, his uncle came up to me and said, hey, I want to thank you. My nephew, Andrew Richardson, is just so happy in his life. This program that he went through just made everything fantastic for him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So there's more than what you asked for, David, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Well, General, I just love talking to you and hearing your stories. Thank you for all you do. I'm serious. We do have one question. I wanted to, and actually our good colleague Stephanie just posted one of the videos that Chris was talking about. It's Andrew Richardson's story. It's right here on YouTube. So don't look at it just now. Save it for later. But we do have a question from our good friend John Nicolo out there in Chicagoland. John's question is, we are in Chicagoland and look for folks to fill positions in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. As to what, in general, what have you witnessed about your candidates' mobility or agreeability to consider relocating? That may be a question for Dan or perhaps Mike Powers.
Yeah, I'll take that. So our candidates are extremely relocatable, and it's something that every one of our sites has a site manager who works with them throughout the program on professional development, so that they're getting the IT skills training, but they're also getting training in resume building and LinkedIn profiles and interview preparation and things like that. So the site managers really work with them throughout on being relocatable, especially the ones who do not have an IT background and are stepping into the IT industry for the first time, even more so. But we really talk to them all about being very relocatable. And on top of that, because they are active duty military transitioning out, the vast majority of them, they have a final relocation from the military. So when they're getting out, they're already considering relocation, and most of them will have at least part of the move paid for, just depending upon where they enlisted at and where they're stationed. So overall, the answer is they're very relocatable, and that's something we specifically work with them on.
Great.
Yeah, our experience, this is Mike Powers again.
Go ahead, Mike.
Our experience with that is the site managers have been great at telling us, here's the individuals, here's their top 3 locations, and then here's ones they're willing to move anywhere. So usually what we run into is they say, hey, I want to be somewhere warm, or I want to be somewhere in Indiana, or I want to be somewhere in Ohio, within striking distance of family, if they have a specific request. But most of the time, these individuals are used to moving around. I mean, they're getting a new station every 2 to 3 years anyway, so they've become nomadic anyway. So that's not really ever been much of a problem with us on our end. If anything, it's the other way around, where we're saying, well, look, we've got 110 locations. Where can we put you? What's your top 3? And, the answers might be someplace warm or within 2 or 3 hour drive of a family. But they do a very good job of telling us a general area where they want to be. And you would know that through using this tool as well.
Great. That's a great response. And I am going to take the liberty, because I have control of the microphone at this point. I'm going to pick on our colleague, or actually our friend Julie Plonk. Now, she doesn't know I'm asking her a question, but Julie is with Robert Half. She's been really helpful in driving folks to this webinar. Julie, I'm not supposed to pick on you, but I will. Do you want to share anything from Robert Half on either hiring veterans or using this tool, or you were just so enthusiastic about helping for this? Can you tell us a little bit more about hiring veterans through Robert Half's programs?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, David. Hi, everybody. Kind of like David said, Robert Half is a strong hirer of veterans and a big supporter of this program. It's something that is definitely near and dear to our hearts, and something that we partner with this group on the call pretty closely with to help these veterans get hired. And so we encourage everybody, like everyone else who has spoken on the phone, to please, spread the word and help get the word out that these candidates are available and kind of the benefits of hiring. I think we really just need to spread awareness in the industry, and that's one of the things that we call on our partners to help us with. I guess I would say I would give you a couple pieces of data that we recently released a new technology research report that says 97% of IT leaders are confident in their company's growth in the first half of the year, but 86% of them are really still struggling to find the talent that they need. And so we know that the need is out there. I guess maybe I would turn back to this group and ask a question just for the audience to kind of hear. Is there any kind of tips or things that you've found in working with the veterans in this program to help them on board with new companies, or what type of questions and culture fit are these candidates typically looking for that can help companies who are looking to hire veterans find the right match? Anything on culture or match that you've seen really hit home with the candidates who are looking for work out of this program?
I'll take that. So I don't know that a lot of companies already working with us are on the call, but you know, from the perspective of working with the candidates, it's going to be very broad because so many of them are coming out of the military from one term up to retiring from the military. And I've had MSSA participants come to class every day in a suit, and then in the same class, somebody who would have come to in shorts and flip-flops every day if they could. And so it's going to be, you know, very broad. A lot of them are looking to carry on their clearance and continue into the defense space or federal space. And then there will also be a lot that are looking to get into healthcare or may have a degree in that area already, and they're, you know, supplementing with IT, but looking to go into IT and the healthcare industry. So it's very broad, and you know, it really reflects kind of the diversity of the military as they come out of the program. You know, our participants are very diverse in any way that you could define diverse, and that goes to say the same with their preferences of where they're going and the company cultures as they move on to the next career.
And Julie, thank you for joining the call and helping us get folks on the call. We look forward to working with you, not just through VFI, but also through MSSA. And Dan, maybe I should ask this question to you. If I'm a partner looking to hire, how can I get access to your tool here that you're showing on the screen?
Well, Stephanie graciously just put the link to our hiring partners page in the chat there. So microsoft.military.com/programs/hiring-partners. And that's going to be the page that you would go to, and you can fill out the form on there, and that will come to our team, and it just gives us an idea of the company name, a point of contact that's reaching out. And what we'll do there is I'll actually set up a call with you personally. I'll discuss the program with you. I'll answer any questions directly. I can also demo this hiring tool, you know, a little more extensively at that point. And then from there, we can move forward and get you set up. And again, there's no cost to our partners and there's no cost to our participants to hire people out of this program. So it's really, you know, luckily my job's pretty easy when it comes to these conversations. It's almost always, why aren't we already doing this at the end of the call? And, you know, we quickly get set up and start getting your job openings out in front of the classes and the people that are looking for work.
And Dan, I can't presume to, you know this tool. I know you showed this to me the other day, and I know we had some privacy concerns about showing the applicants' names and various things. But I would say this: we're you know, the hiring our vets program. There's lots of programs around the country that companies are using to hire veterans, and we applaud that. And I just hope that this tool, regardless of if it's hire vets or hiring our heroes or whatever it is, we hope that this tool can be widely used amongst all of those program managers to actually find talent in this pipeline and hire these veterans. So as partners, as Microsoft partners and tech advocates and aficionados, I hope you'll reach out, look at this link that Stephanie sent, look at the tool, figure out how we can help. I know Eric from Southern California just chimed in and say, I've been trying to build relationships with hire vets here in Southern California with IMCP SoCal chapter, but can never navigate the bureaucracy. Thank you all. We'll definitely be promoting the site and encouraging our members to engage. So that's the kind of response we're looking for. Thank you very much. It is 3:45. We have a few more minutes if there's another question or two, but let me, Dan or General Cortez, let me turn it back over to you, and if you'd like to close it up, feel free.
Well, I'll go first and just say that this program got started in 2013. We cut the ribbon for the very first pilot in July of 2013 and graduated the first cohort in December of 2013. Senator Patty Murray came and spoke, as did one of our current presidents here at Microsoft, our head lawyer. And it was with that first initial course that this program really showed us that it was a viable program, that this thing would work. And then you fast forward over the last 6.5 years from one base to 14, and then if you add on all the extra classrooms that have morphed in certain locations where the interest was so high, we couldn't meet the demand, and we had to have a second and a third, and in one place a fourth classroom. This program has really grown, and we're looking at plans for additional locations in the next year or two. But it's an absolutely amazing program, and probably, you know, the single most significant element of it is the caliber of young men and women, who they are and what they bring to the workplace. This is something that you don't get in a classroom. This is something that you don't come right out of an education program alone and then bring all this experience with you. It's these young men and women are amazing. They're the best of the best, and I just can't say enough about the caliber of young men and women that go through our armed forces and then transition into civilian careers. They're amazing. So that's all I have, David.
Thank you, General. And of course, once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do for this program and for Microsoft. Dan, do you have any final words on how we can make this tool super accessible? And I know Stephanie has sent around the link, but any closing words from Dan?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join. And, you know, again, just follow that link. It's a very easy form, and then I'll set up a call with you from there. It'll give me your contact information and I'll reach out. And, you know, it is very accessible. It's a very easy process, and we really are looking to make the connection to our participants and our graduates and even recent grads. And on one more note, that hiring portal is updated every Friday. So to Mike's point about it being relevant profiles in there, every time we track everybody and if they're employed and where they're going. So we know that they're employed, we remove their profile and only have the people who are actively looking for work in there. So, you know, again, we just want to streamline the process for you and make it as easy as possible. So I look forward to connecting with you. And again, I want to thank Mike from Tech Systems for taking the time as well to join and discuss his experience with our program.
And if I could, I wanted to thank all of the MSSA team, Stephanie, Chris, Dan, Mike Powers from Tech, and of course the VFI team that helped put all this together, and all those folks that got people on this call today. I want to thank everyone for this. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me directly, our VFI team, or certainly Dan, Chris, or the other MSA team members. Once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Hire more vets.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.